Hey everybody, Dr. Luke here. I'm going to talk to you today about one of the pitfalls of starting a new business, and that is poor hiring. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about poor hiring, and I'm actually going to give you a brief example. Without going into a longer explanation, I'm going to summarize this for you, and then you can take the lesson that I learned. So, we hired somebody because we were new, we were landing contracts, we were making money, and of course we were going to kind of hire out of desperation, which you know that that's going to happen because if you grow real fast and everything is happening at breakneck speed, awesome, that's exciting, but you got to hire. We hired a guy named Chris, and we didn't do a background check or anything on this person. We did the full interview process. We're talking like over the course of a week. We interviewed him like 3 separate times. My wife interviewed him, I interviewed him, our CFO interviewed him, right? And so we all interviewed this guy and we thought, okay, he'll be a pretty good fit. We had kind of a weird feeling about the guy, but we're like, nah, he has some experience that will help us expand in our market, because we were doing Lean Six Sigma, but we hadn't been doing too much in the supply chain world, and that's where he claimed to have came from. Notice I said claim. Said I came from the medical supply chain. We're like, well, that's good, because not only we want to break into that market, and that's one of the places we want to head. So it all seemed wonderful. He said all the right things, and so we loved it. And we paid we'll just say, a very large salary, right? Very, very large salary. And when I say, I mean over 6 figures for our first employee. So he comes on, and let me just put it to you this way. In our first year in business, we ended up negative $150,000. Now, that's not just on paper. That's legitimately what happened. So I have a retirement from the Marine Corps, and he was faking contracts that didn't exist. He was faking that he was doctors. He actually had a team working with him. He was an actual con man. And when I say actual, I mean he was arrested 21 times before. And since we didn't do a background check on him, we got conned. And I lost everything from the business that year because we had some revenue coming in our first year. I lost my retirement that I got from the Marine Corps because I was using my own retirement to pay him to help out, because like this fake money that was supposed to be coming in from these fake contracts was not coming in. Then on top of that, COVID hit at the exact same time. So we weren't able to fire him right away because things were changing now with everything with COVID. And then, I mean, it was just absolute chaos and pandemonium. Finally, our CFO stepped in and overrode me, and thankfully, because he's got 40 years of business experience. And he said, like, this guy's got to go, period. He's got to go. And so we finally fired him. And that's when we started to do our homework. And then he even came back. Now, follow this. He even came back and tried in the state of New Jersey to get them to pay us for his last paycheck when we found out all this stuff, and then finally fired him. Now, so we were dragged into court. That went on for about another 6 months. And thankfully, since my wife is a freaking genius, she didn't even need a lawyer. She compiled the entire case herself and actually beat him in court. But nonetheless, our first year in business, we're already dealing with a lawsuit saying we didn't pay somebody, which everything was fraudulent. So of course we won, which is great. But so again, first year in business, actually losing $150,000, and the heartache and stress. I actually at one point, I think I was 39 at the time, and I actually almost had a heart attack. There was at one point, I fell to my knees, and I had so much pain from the stress and the pressure of what he had done, that and this being a dream to own a business. I literally thought I had a heart attack. My wife and I were extremely concerned. So that is my story on hiring bad. And I'll tell more about this throughout other videos and stuff. But what I'm going to tell you is this. You may hire bad, you may get conned, and that's okay as long as you act extremely quick. The fact that I let this go on for several months, I think he was at our company for a total of 9 months. Really, it was recognized that things went sour and he was toxic within the first probably 2 months, 3 months. But being desperate in a new company, I kept saying, hey, it's fine, it'll be okay. But my wife and our CFO were both like, Luke, something's wrong. Luke, something's wrong. Like, I'm just not feeling this. Something's out of place. Let's let him go. And I'm like, no, we can't. Long story short, he ended up on our payroll for 9 months when it should have been about 2 months. When you feel somebody is toxic, I don't care how desperate you think you are. Like, well, we got this client, we've got to cover it. Find anybody else to outsource. It'll be better than keeping somebody toxic on at your organization. Because if your gut's telling you something, it's probably right. So I didn't listen to my gut. I didn't listen to my wife. Gets me in trouble all the time. And then I also didn't listen to my CFO. I was an absolute moron. So I will tell plenty of stories about this when I meet with people and stuff, especially when I'm coaching. But when somebody's not right for your culture, that's not what you're trying. When you did your proper business plan and they don't fit the mold and they're not producing, they're not hitting their metrics, they don't fit who you are as an organization and the purpose and vision and mission. Let them go. Please get rid of them. Do not do what I did. Don't let this scare you off, and don't let this be one of your excuses. Let's get to work.